Okay, this is the first requested video that I have, so that's awesome. Keep the requests coming. I really appreciate it. And this goes to when we're doing percent abundance problems, and when we have to solve it algebraically, this student asked this really awesome question: where does the x come from? Okay, and so when we're solving the algebraic problem with an x, it's only ever going to be two isotopes, and we're going to have the answer to the problem. Usually when we do these problems, we get the isotope, and then we'll get a percent, which we make a decimal. We multiply the mass times the decimal, add it to the other mass times the decimal, and solve and go on our merry way. But one of the problems, and I've seen this so many times on the AP exam, is they give you the answer and then they ask you to go back and find the percentages, okay? And it's easy to do because if you have two of anything and you're thinking about percentages, that percent has to equal up to 100%, okay? Well, if you have 20 of anything and you're doing percentages, it has to equal up to 100, but it's easy here. So if you consider that this plus this is 100%, we can figure out how to solve that problem. Now, I'm going to make this a decimal percent, which means instead of adding up to 100, it's 1, okay? And that's a problem a lot of people it's a problem for a lot of people, and it's a mistake that they make, is they don't think about it as a decimal percent, okay? But if you do it as a decimal, that's going to give you that answer right there. So if you think about it, if the decimal percent of this and the decimal percent have to equal 1, I can just say that 60 is x. That's going to be the decimal percent of x, okay? So let's make that x, okay? And I know that this and this, the decimal percents, have to be 1. So if this one is x, then I can define this one as 1 minus x. 1 minus x. Because I know that this and that have to equal 1. And so I just have to set up the problem like this. So 60 times x plus 64 times 1 minus x equals 63.5, like that. And so that gets me 60x plus 64 minus 64x, and so that's minus 4x equals minus 0.5. Okay, so all I did here is I multiplied 60 times x and then 64, since we said that's 1 minus x, times 1, which is there, 64, times the minus. That's the thing, that's the other mistake a lot of people make here. So that's minus 64x, and then I just combine like terms. So 60x plus negative 64 is negative 4, and then I brought the 64 over here. I'm going to actually put the 63.5 there. So the 64 went over here. That became negative, and so it's going to, those two negatives are going to cancel out. So it's going to be divide by 4 on both sides. 0.5 divided by 4, that's going to be 0.25, 0.125. But I'm going to check my calculator just to be sure. 0.5 divided by 4. Oh, good. Smart and handsome. 0.125. Okay? So what that tells me is that x is 0.125. Okay? And so that means that that percent, when I multiply it back to 100, that's going to be 12.5 and then the other one, so the 60 is going to be 12.5%, which means that this one is going to be higher. So 100% minus 12.5%, that's 87.5%. And we would expect that because the number here, the 63.5, is very close to the 64.